here and start to show the prowess that you expect out of an LCK game.
Well, guys, we're jumping straight into ban phase for game number 1. We are going to start off with a Galio ban here for Ever8.
And Jace, I want to make a comment on this pick that Jace is not just a top lane Jace, not just a jungle Jace, but in the Challenger Series for Korea, Malrang has actually been playing the jungle Jace. So it's a very powerful flex pick that you just want to get rid of it. It's such a strong presence in every single role that you put him in, and you just don't want to deal with it because, let's be honest, who has practice against Jace jungle?
Yeah, it's definitely something you want to make sure that you take away if it's a special pick, especially for someone like Malrang, one of the 2 bus drivers, as they say on Ever8, him and Sept did really pulling it together.
And the Elise, a very powerful pick right now. Just overall easy to first pick, makes every other champion that you pick be a little bit stronger on the damage front because she brings that CC, because she brings that early game in. If you can just get past that early stage of the game, the snowballing potential that you currently have when you think about adding Herald to the mix is so powerful that the only team we've seen really use it to somewhat of a decent effect was Samsung. And as these teams progress and the league goes on, we're going to see a lot better use of the Herald and triple jungle ban. I know it's weird to say that Jace is going to be a jungle ban, but yes, that is considered a jungle ban, but they are going to be giving up the Syndra to Septa. Now, this guy Syndra was immaculate, one of the most exciting up-and-coming players right now. You heard in an interview with Cuvee that if Septid really puts in the work, he can really get to the top as one of the best mid laners in LCK right now. And such a young player that it's really refreshing to see so much emphasis being given to him and just let him have that first pick. MVP
Ian fighting, waiting for you in Taiwan, China. But yeah, I mean, that's a very good point that you make, but I'm sure that MVP knows that the Syndra was coming. When you target Malrang so much and you leave Septid's biggest pick, or one of his biggest picks at least, alone, then you know that MVP has to have something coming, some kind of counter. You know, there's lots of options left over. You got Echo, Fizz, even Ahri, something that Faker's played a lot against Syndra.
You could even go as far as a Zed if they really want to. However, with an Graves, kind of an iffy pick. We did see BDD blind that Zed pick so far, but Syndra's not a champion that comes without any weaknesses. Quite immobile, so any help that you can assist her in getting out of sticky situations will be very important. And I gotta wonder that the Thresh is one of the picks that has really been coming up and about in this new patch, and it helps great with assist. Is also setting up lots of picks very early on now. What is Hachani going to bring out now? It's hard to call him Hachani. He is comeback, so we will keep calling him as comeback, but the Olaf will be most likely the pick that gets locked in, and a lot of upfront damage, lots of beefiness coming out from Ever8, and already a really scary composition on their lineup.
Yeah, wanting to make sure that they pick up one of the other very competitive jungle picks, especially with all the jungle bans that we already have and the jungle pick by MVP. They want to make sure that other jungle picks do not get banned out in the second phase. And still no Thresh. We're going to have Ashe coming out here too, another very competitive AD pick right now. Her and Varus, kind of these big pick ADs. They have that ultimate ability to pick off one member.
Exactly. They offer a lot of utility with the vision, their ability to engage and start a fight out of nowhere. Whoa, that is a very risky pick early on. Now, Kassadin does have an easy time escaping the likes of Olaf later in the game, but early on, this matchup into Syndra is not an easy one by any means, so lots of pressure into the mid lane, and MVP saying if they can whittle the storm, they can have a fighting chance here, but I imagine that Sept is not really going to give him any breathing room. You see him having an Ignite hovered over here in his summoner spells, and Ian, I am very curious to see what he's going to bring out. The Doran Shield on Kassadin is a pick that helps him get out of laning phase a little bit easier, but still a very risky pick.
Probably the idea, you know, pick up the Doran Shield, just try to sustain, play it safe, but even with the Graves jungle too, you know, a jungle that really just wants to farm, sit back, maybe counter gank a couple of times, but not going to be camping your lane, helping you out, pushing you forward, doing stuff like that, so. Exactly,
pre-level 6 is going to be quite difficult to really go ahead and pressure the Syndra, and it's going to be the Tahm Kench ban. I love this ban right now. It's a very strong pick, not only for denying Syndra's ultimate, but also denying the Ashe era. So I like to pick up here, understanding the weaknesses of the composition that Ever8 has drafted and making sure that they ban appropriately so that they're set up for success when the mid game rolls around and they're starting to look for picks.
I'm curious to see what Max is going to pull out of his bag of tricks now. Tom Kent seemed like the obvious answer, as you were talking about. Will we see another support ban?
I actually think Bard is going to be the best pick for Max here. Not only will Bard be a great use for zoning out the Syndra, getting some nice picks, but against Olaf, the disengage for using Tunnel, really just escaping the champion that just runs straight at you in a line. So the Bard makes a lot of sense for me. He did play it in Game 1 in the first week, and so it would not surprise me. And ADD going back to Sejuani, that's 4 games in a row of Sejuani. Well, this man just cannot get enough of the
Look at the smile on his face, too. He's like, haha, they didn't ban my Sejuani. I'll just play it again. And definitely one, if not the only, top laner to really consistently pick this up. And we weren't super impressed when we first saw it, but it does offer a bunch of CC, and it's ultra tanky.
It's his new Scion. It does offer a beefy front line and some engage, which does make sense with the lineup that they have so far, which is just pure damage, a little bit of engage, but Sejuani is going to make some sense in the mid and late game, and the Shen will be picked up. So you already know what Ever is trying to do. Just go straight to the bot lane. No forgiveness, just pure punishment with Ash Arrow, the Stand United, the Olaf just diving right away, and the denial. Could it be?
I was going to say, that would be really smart from them. You were talking about the Bard to have a counter pick, but they will go with the very standard Thresh.
Makes sense. It's a great pick all around, just so solid, and I love the picks from Ever8 here. Super solid team composition, lots of flexibility. They have late game, they have split pushing, they can group for picks, and what is MVP going to round this out?
What?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Max is like, no, what do you mean playing safe? I'm just going to grab him and kill the Ashe before she even has a chance to engage.
And Blitzcrank is your X factor. You really don't know what to expect out of this pick. He can go so many things. You can disrupt the early game. You can pick people left, right, and center. Your flash is such a powerful tool, and it really just is going to be up to him as to what he can make work on this composition. Because when you look at it on paper, you would give the advantage to Ever, but the X factor of Max's Blitzcrank, it did get banned by Janair after the success that he had in his first series. So the double hooking lane in the bottom lane, going to see a lot of action down there. And with the double teleport from MVP, we might just see a lot of 5-mans in the bottom lane that no AD carry is going to be too stoked about.
This is going to be a pretty ridiculous game. I'm already excited. Should be very, very action-packed. In the bot lane, as you were talking about, we might even see some pressure mid from Ever8, trying to get that Kassadin behind. And man, you could call that Blitzcrank the max factor at this point. No one else is playing it, so it's basically his champion.
And the cool thing about the champions, why we know it's going to be action-packed, is that these picks, Thresh and Blitzcrank, they can't really just say, oh, we're just going to harass. You hook, and that's an all-in already. Yeah. You're going in for the fight. You know what you're getting into when you're picking these picks, and both teams understand this. Let's get into it then.
Yeah, looks like we're just getting one last final look at the compositions, as we've been talking about lots of engage, lots of action throughout the game, beyond on another pick that kind of goes towards the late game. Again, we can talk about that a little bit later, but either way, guys, here's the lineup. Let's jump into game number 1 right away. It's going to be Ever8 versus MVP. Let's jump onto the Rift.
And we're going to see some action right away. Look at these two teams just both running straight for each other. Olaf has such an advantage in this early game, though. Oh, man, what he showed.
Here we go. They're going to check the brush. The immediate knockup onto 2 members. Maha has to flash away. The flash forward here from Comeback, and there's that first blood going over to Olaf already, and they're still on the chase. Beyond, he's going to get pulled back with the play. That's a 2 for 0 for Ever8.
You never fight level 1 against Olaf, the best level 1 champion. Undertows just doing so much work there in the flays, and such a tremendous advantage just to who you didn't want the advantage to go to. The 2 carries from Ever. Malrang and Septed both get first kills, and
wow,
just the beautiful start from Ever.
It's just, as you were saying, the face check against level 1 Thresh Olaf. You're not going to have a good time.
It's the Hachani factor. Somebody has to face check in this game. If he's not going to do it, then the enemy team will.
It's just his aura, man. It's the comeback. He's forcing the enemy team to face check instead of himself.
And a great way to do so. You know, he's a shot caller, so making the right call is understanding where MVP might strike, and Ian not going to have a good time here. No flash on the Kassadin, so he's going to have to play it real safe level 6, and we expect to see a CS advantage coming out of from Septid just because of that level 1.
Yeah, interesting to see that Septid, he did pick up just the control ward. Looks like perhaps an extra biscuit. Not much else.
The experience advantage will make the difference here. Hitting that level 2 sooner, hitting the level 6 sooner, they're all going to amount to a lot of pressure. And you can see just how far back Ian has to play in this matchup. And he's really going to need a lot of help from beyond to at least scout out Malrang or put some pressure onto the map. And Malrang will be going for an invade here. There is pressure onto the bottom lane, so it makes sense. And this could be a very risky invade or very risky blue buff for MVP.
See how this goes. He's actually going to start the blue buff here. Beyond has no idea. Malrang now is going to find him here. Comeback is coming on in. And the red buff is sticking on to Beyond, who is forced to just run away. Look at Septid with his push. He gets to the blue buff first. There is no way for MVP to contest this, and that's going to be the blue buff going over to Malrang.
And I love this focus from Ever onto the jungler. They understand that if you just let these lanes lane and do their thing, they will get advantages. The Graves, even though he's not the greatest pick to salvage a lane, he can influence them. So by targeting this pick already, we can see just the effect that it's going to have on to dash. He could be in trouble, and we'll just have to run out of his jungle.
Look at that, the axe too, right onto Beyond, and this is going to be totally taken away. Poor Beyond, man, he is so far behind.
Just insult to injury on this. He's going to have to recall, go back to the doubles, and Malrang just having such free reign as a result of his lanes, just having such a dominating level 1.
You can even see in the top lane that
the pings are going for the doubles. They don't want Oh, he's not going for it.
Okay, just gonna take it easy for now. But to add to our Doran's shield count, we have 5 in this game. Double up in top, of course. Kassadin has to take it against the Syndra, and then both 80 carries going to pick that up.
And the thing is, that invade with the Doran shield, even though, sure, they will let the laners survive, the invade that Ever did resulted in double control wards going down onto the blue side for MVP, and that just means that they have Beyond's number to a T here. He's going to not be able to jungle out of sight for a very long time, and it's really obnoxious when you're in that position because every move that you make, you see the enemies react to it, and you're just wondering, what can I do? What can I do that will at least get me an advantage or that my team can not be exploited out of this situation? And it seems like the answer is just none because he's just in sight the entire time. He can't go anywhere without ever knowing.
Yeah, it's like the playing against Samsung effect where they just know where you are at all times. And it's definitely going to be a rough start here for MVP. They are already about 1,500 gold behind at just 4 minutes into the game, so pretty rough. I'd like to bring some attention to the mid lane, though. Even though Ian was facing against the, the kill onto the Syndra very early on, he's keeping up in CS, and he still has his teleport, so didn't even need to use that to get back in the lane because he was getting harassed out. So far, Ian doing a pretty nice job.
It's that Doran shield really doing a lot of work for him and keeping him in lane. It helps with the last hitting as well, so it's just such an overall fantastic item. I really just can't complain about it. And it makes these champions that can scale really effective, and you wonder what build is Ian going to go for, because he clearly has the components for the Catalyst so far, and he could be in the... Oh, he's so dead.
Oh, man.
He's so done.
He saw this coming, too. He was a little bit too far up the lane. He's even going to flash, which is very surprising to me. Helper is going to flash on over as well.
Here's comeback, though. And the easy hook. Gets a kill for Septid, and it's just such a nice alley-oop onto him. And now Ian, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble now. Even though the items are still the experience and CS is still the same, the item advantage is very clearly in the advantage of Septid. Having that tome completed just to the components of a Catalyst for the Kassadin.
Yeah, pretty rough spot here. Septid already building up the stacks in this game. Was able to pick up that item quite soon after. This is very easy lane.
And the teleport from ADD here in the top side signals that help that Ever will be trying to make moves once again in the bottom side of the map. They will have Ash Arrow online very soon, and with the Stand United, the ability to just dive anybody is just so easy.
Oh, the flash coming in here, he ultimates to begin, and you were talking about this action coming on in. Beyond is super dead. 4-on-1 action. Not what MVP wanted to see.
You do not see that in League of Legends often. That's for another site.
Yeah.
And now they're going to go just get control of that blue buff once again. Teleport gets blown, and they just get that kill onto Beyond for their troubles. But any advantage that Ever can get is a good advantage for them, and ADD will have to just run with this tail between. It's like, do boars have tails? I think they do have tails.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah, tails. Little waggly
sure
tails.
Yeah. Can't really see it below all that armor, but I love with the lead that Ever8 got, how they're focusing Beyond so much too, not just because it's a good idea, but because the player in their first match up against Jin Air, you saw Ian playing a lot of Karma actually, and a lot of these damage carries from Beyond instead. So now he's getting behind on the Graves. It's going to take him a much longer time to actually scale up to that late game.
It's going to be near impossible for him. The build that he's going to have to go for will be changed. He's just going to have to play so far back that he has to respect pretty much every damage source from Ever at this point, and not the position you want to be in as a Graves.
I think Duel is going to be looking for an arrow here because Comeback, or Hatani, he roams so much. Ash hit level 6 very soon, and they definitely could set something up here. It
would be really risky right now because the jungler and mid laner just base, but they base at the same time, and that's that synergy that you expect out of this mid and jungles duo. It's so important to base at the same time because you get back onto the map, you get your vision well timed properly, and you can make the most out of your plays, out of the items that you just acquired. So really like that stuff from the dual lane. If you ever want to play and improve your teamwork, try to base together. Dual lane basing together, you and whoever you want to be working with, base at the same time, and the results will follow soon after.
You don't have to play Zyra Khan to be able to base at the same time. That's just an interesting part of their duo. We see both junglers actually coming into the bot lane now. Still no level 6 for either of the supports.
But it's a little easier for MVP now because they have cleared out a lot of their vision. They put mostly defensive wards onto their side, so they're just trying to get some control back into the game. They're not trying to make aggressive moves. They're just trying to survive. And in the meantime, Malrang will be in the river trying to look for somebody. Max, oh, he gets hooked though.
Oh, we have the teleport coming in from Ian actually. They will follow up the arrow onto him, but Max is going to go down. Comeback is still alive, even with that damage coming out. Look at that, Ian in the mid lane actually got chunked down. Nice snipe there by Maha. Maybe a mistake by Comeback to be following too close. They will trade that 1-for-1.
But the 1-for-1 benefits Ever even more because of the pressure they have in the mid lane. Ian has to base, and he doesn't have teleport right now, so mid lane turret is about to go down, or at least getting some chunk. Half HP at 10 minutes is a very big deal, and Beyond's not going to be able to do a whole lot to defend this turret, and are they going to commit to it? It's a little bit risky, so they'll just back off, but one more wave will do it, and taking down a mid lane turret this early on will just open the map for Ever so much that with the Ash Arrow and Stand United, we can expect more incredibly aggressive plays out of Ever.
Max looking to make a play here in the mid lane. Will be pushed back. Stand United joining on in. Can they actually land the taunts here? No, just out of range. Max will actually get the follow-up hook here. Helper trying to flash away. It looks like he will survive, but at least they do get that flash.
Not a big fan of that Stand United. I really prefer the ones that are a little bit more aggressive. I think they were expecting the hook to hit, but it's a very tough moment to communicate to Sept that, hey, get hooked by the Blitzcrank. We got your back on this, and then we'll take another look at that one right there. The hook hits onto Max, and even though the teleport comes through, the Olaf just does so much damage right now. Level 7, and with the ultimate, his AD goes through the roof, but from Maha will allow them to trade 1-for-1, and it's anything that MVP can get, they'll be happy with. So in the end, they see it as a victory, but the mid lane damage was really what made the difference here for Ever.
Blue buff going to be handed on over to Septid, who once again looks to be the bus driver in this game. 3-0-1, has nearly the most farm in the game, actually tied with his AD carry in the bot lane, but has a nice juicy wave in mid. Malrong also doing quite well.
And he's looking to get some stacks. He's already got 4 going under his belt, so maybe at some point he will plan to upgrade to a Magi. In the team composition that he's in, good hook.
Really nice snipe, though, as Maha was in the lane, but comeback, going to respect, doesn't really know the positioning on Beyond, so just wants to flash that wall.
And this roam from Helper will allow them to secure this tier 1 mid lane, and great move there, understanding that they can just get the mid lane turret if somebody just shows up.
Okay, they're going to commit to that, and even Beyond almost dies. And coming on in now is ADD. He wants to freeze up. Remember, Malrong does get frozen up. But again, it's only them two. They have the CC, but this is the story of Sejuani. It's like, uses his ultimate, and then there's just no damage.
There's just not enough damage from Ian early on. The Kassadin, usually the biggest spike for Kassadin is level 16 when he gets that 3rd rank of ultimate where he can just be such a ridiculous presence. With the level 1 Rift Walk, the cooldown is just so long. He doesn't have enough damage because he hasn't really built any, and he is going to be going for that Rod of Ages, meaning that he's going to take even longer to scale. And this is just going to be an attempt on the Helper or intercepted, but just look at how much damage from the ultimate. Oh, that Syndra just... Man, you really wonder why this champion has been this strong for this long.
Well, I have to question the flash from Beyond, too. I mean, he wanted to make sure that no follow-up Q could come out of Septid, but Septid was already running away and could not stick around. And either way, it just looks like MVP trying to scramble around and get a little bit desperate for picks, but nothing really happening so far.
It's a tough position to be in. You really don't plan to start at level 1, 0-2 with Achilles going to the jungler and mid laner at the same time. So they're really making the most out of this one. They're kind of trying to stall out, but just the champions that they've drafted make it very difficult to play from a position when they're behind because there's little wave clear if Graves and Varus aren't there. So Kassadin really needs to be relegated to the side lanes, but he's just not strong enough to do so yet. Maybe at level 11 we'll see him swap out, but for now he's still stuck in the mid lane laning against Septid.
Yeah, we'll probably see MVP hope doesn't know how to finish out these games. If this were SKT, you know, everybody likes to say this, the best macro team right now in the world. They'd just be pushing bot, getting another turret, going top, getting another turret. We haven't really seen any big rotations after the mid lane turret went down. Looks like they're thinking about taking that Ocean Drake, but still no big moves by Ever8, and Comeback is going to get hooked again. And this time it will amount to a kill.
Comeback really just showing his old self here, getting hooked twice already. First time had to burn the flash, second time gets picked off. A great move from Beyond, and every pick that MVP get will stall out the game further. And now they're considering maybe even going for an Ocean Drake here. Even though when you're in this position, you really want to start getting some gold back into your team. Ocean Dragon's nothing to scoff at, so a good comeback starting from MVP here. And there is Stand United still from Helper, but that pick will allow them to stall enough for their teleports, at least Ian's to come back, and just another easy pick right there.
That's
kind of blind, but nonetheless, still a great hook there from Max.
That's what you would expect out of Max. We've said it many times, ADD and Max are kind of the carries here for MVP. Ian, he just tries to get fed and then carry a little bit later, but Max and ADD, they do the really hard carrying early on, and you can already see that Blitzcrank pick paying off.
Some fighting around Herald, perhaps?
Poor Herald.
He's so dead.
Oh yeah, that's you land that hook with a 3-0 Syndra right next to you.
He didn't even need to ult, probably. I think just Q and W would have done the deal.
Now ADD, he wanted to get a bit frisky, and Malrong is coming up here. They're thinking about the dive. Max will come up and support. That means no dive.
But in the meantime, Ping's going on to the bottom lane. There is a Stand United, so Ever can switch their attention so quickly because of the composition to just go to the bottom lane now because of that Stand United. And so while they're unable to get that tier 1 top lane, they can position for securing that tier 2. So if they have proper vision coverage, then this could be a very aggressive move from them that will be a tier 1 bottom.
At the same time, we do see Septid going for a recall. Looks like she had a lot of money saved up actually getting that Morellonomicon right away.
Yeah, they're just not feeling it today. So they will just back off. They did just get a Herald, so now it's going to be a matter of where do they decide to use it.
Yeah.
Olaf does have it.
I like that idea. You know, you have so much money saved up and you did just get the Rift Herald, so you want to make sure that you're as bought up as possible. Everybody can base and get ready for that push.
No use in the bank, right? You die at the end of your life and you got $1 million, you're going to have a whole lot of regret in heaven.
Well, Max and Maha actually sitting on a control ward. They were thinking about making something happen.
It's a telegraph play. They don't know that ADD is here, but they are aware that he does have teleport. There is a ward in the back brush for MVP, and it does get pinged right now. They are thinking about it. Kassadin is out of vision. We might get a fight very soon. Oh, we're about to get it because Herald did get popped, so Ever is committing for this tower.
They should be able to get it. Well, it's going to be close.
Herald.
This first hit is going to do a ton of damage. Can they actually follow it up, though, is the question. Doesn't look like it. That will be taken out, so just chunking that bottom turret. It was a very telegraphed play by even Ever8 afterwards, just getting everybody down there in the bot lane. MVP read it, and that's going to be another not-so-glorious Rift Herald push.
Poor Herald just getting such a bad reputation. It's just such a strong... What are you being? Is it just
being?
a strong objective? It's an objective. So, no. I'm not objectifying you. Listen, I'm trying to figure out what it actually is, but it is an objective. But it will not even get a tier 1 that was already at half HP, so just really poor usage of it.
She never wanted to be part of any of this fighting anyway.
Yeah. She just wanted to die in the next minute and 30 seconds, or minute 45.
She wanted to go home, wherever she goes. Poor Herald.
Goes back to Baron. She fuses with Baron.
It's a interesting mechanic.
But they're still going to be able to get this tier 1, just a 4-man push on it, and really not too necessary to send this many people still.
Yeah. It's like everybody and their mother's coming down. Helper is there in spirit. Will have the ultimate and even the teleport, so pretty much a full man bottom tower take there.
But right now, Ever just need to be looking to pick a fight because of how spiked Syndra is. She's just completed 3 items. Sork Shoes, Haunting Guys, Morellonomicon, 401. She can just pop anybody so quickly, and there's not a whole lot of magic resistance on every member just yet. So keeping Syndra alive will be the key to winning this mid-game for Ever, and it's pretty easy when you're considering that you have heal on her, you've got Stand United, you've got a Lantern. She's really strong in levels as well. 4 levels over max, even though comeback is also level 8. It is as a result of dying a fair share of times.
Yeah, and it definitely goes back to the Tom Kent. The fact that the very offensive Blitzcrank pick was picked by MVP, by Max, and they just decided to try to get more aggressive, but after you get that far behind, Blitzcrank has gotten a couple of picks onto comeback, but that's about it. There's no protection for if Maha or Beyond get caught, and they're extremely squishy. As you said, not a lot of MR built right now. You see how much Beyond is getting chunked down earlier on in the jungle.
And even though Septed is very strong, Blitzcrank is that champion that is just a game-winning pick. He can always win you the game, no matter what position you're in. Pick after pick can result in anything from Baron to inhibitors to just game-winning pushes, and so they always have to respect it and Ever need to really acquire some good vision because they don't want to get hooked over walls like Max has hooked comeback twice already, and MVP understands this. They're looking to get control in the red side jungle now that Baron is the objective post 20 minutes. They can secure it. They have Shen, Olaf to tank this objective, and making sure that they have some sort of control in this area will allow them to look for some more picks, and they just love brushes here, just taking that Fnatic cue from Season 2, maybe even Season 1 if you go that far back. But some people don't really count that as a season.
Well, they're still chilling in the brush here. There's a wild boar chase down in bot, but actually they seemingly give up. Okay, finally Malrong's going to come down here, but immediately the rotation from MVP will come down, so no kills just yet from either side. And this is just a Cloud Drake, like you were saying. You know, the Cloud Drake, not a big deal. The Baron, a huge deal. And it seems like both teams are actually really contesting the Cloud Drake as of now.
It's not a big deal, but Ever doesn't feel comfortable making the moves. Why? Because they just don't have any vision. MVP has done a very good job of keeping their defensive vision in check. You can see that triple control ward in the bot side. It just got moved to the further up, but you've got Merc Treads on Cassidy. That's why you go for this pick when you have a Thresh, when you have an Ashe, Shen, even the Syndra. Merc Treads make such a world of difference on this pick, making it a little bit tankier and allowing him to stay in the fight and put himself in a little bit of more dangerous situations just because he knows he can escape very quickly. And he's already level 13. The later this game goes, the better things will be for MVP.
So MVP going to start up this Cloud Drake. There's absolutely no pressure from Ever8. They have no, well, they do have vision of the pit, but seems like a bunch of people just recalling right there, so they don't have the potential to even contest that. And I mean, I like the rotations from Ever8 to take out every tier 1 turret, but they've all been a bit clunky. You know, they send 4 people down into bot lane to take out a super weak turret, and then they kind of just awkwardly run around. You know, as you were saying, no one's placing wards, no one's putting pressure elsewhere, and I think that's becoming a problem for them right now.
Exactly. You're bringing up the point of vision, and Ashe just can't go for arrows if she doesn't know who's there to follow up or who she can actually arrow. There's no deep vision, and Ever is just going to be bleeding and kind of lost in this mid game. MVP just setting up into that 1-3-1 right now. Still nobody in the mid lane, but giving free reign to Ian is not what you want to be doing, because as this Cassidy gets stronger and stronger, he will have the ability to delete single targets, and Ever only has 2 carries in this lineup. If Syndra or Ashe go down, the fight most likely will go MVP's way just because they have more DPS. Ashe is not your high DPS AD carry. She's typically just your utility. It's only until the very later stages in the game where she's got her Infinity Edge, if she chooses to go that build, where she will be capable of just melting people. But for now, more of a utility pick.
Yeah. It's a great point you make about, you know, Cassidy being able to blow up picks. I mean, Ian's sitting at 0-0-0. He hasn't really fed much, but he hasn't really been fed much either, but he will eventually get there. And you look at the defensive items comparatively between the mid laners, you know, Rod of Ages, Merc Treads for Cassidy, but absolutely no defensive items here for Syndra.
Because the thing is, think about the way that MVP will try to engage. They will obviously target the carries, and so you have Cassidy that can go in and without the magic resist that you bring up, he most likely can get a target down to maybe 40, 50% damage HP. But then you have Varus that can follow from very far away with a piercing arrow. He can follow with his spells, and then you have Graves with the collateral damage to really just put the hurt on the back line. And if they can execute it properly and eliminate a target before a standing knight comes through, or just even through the shields, then they have a really good chance at this game. And so I'm worried about Ever's plan here to accelerate this game. They have to be pushing the Baron and really trying to make moves onto this map. Otherwise, they are going to get outscaled.
Where's the pressure with the 401 Syndra? I mean, when you see Sam on the blue side, the entire red side of MVP would be lit up like a Christmas tree right now. Yeah. But right now, MVP has total control of the red side. There's no pressure towards the Baron. They can see the Baron right now.
Where's the press at, bro? There's none of it happening, and they're just giving up all their vision. They're not grouped up, and Ashe may be looking for an arrow here. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
there it is.
This is what we're talking about. Like, they could have done that 5 minutes ago.
It's just that easy. It's just that easy. That should be the tagline for Syndra. When you go to the store, you want to buy Syndra, it's just that easy.
Okay, so it looks like they're thinking about finally going for the Baron now. And they are going to start it.
Good move here. There is no smite, so they can just choose to finish it if they so desire.
A big hook onto Comeback, who is sitting on a ward, and Stand United, I mean, they're delaying.
Yeah, this is good for forever. They will just get a freebie.
Okay, Helper might even survive. Looks like the Sejuani ult does come out, but Helper does survive, so nobody actually dies.
He lives.
What?
He lived. He's based in the red.
Look at that. Okay, so nobody dies, and they get the Baron. Definitely a big move there for Ever8.
They didn't even have to get vision for that pick. They just saw one guy point, click, delete, and look at that. W into stun.
One stun?
Didn't even. I don't think the W even hit.
The W, the 2Q, nothing hit except the ult and the stun, I think. And that's all you need. As we said before, both Beyond and Maha are extremely squishy to the Fed Syndra. All you got to do is hit them.
Syndra is just the jungler's nightmare. You gank her and you're almost certainly going to trade at least a 1-for-1.
Yeah. Just press R. It's just that easy.
It's like the new Karthus, but for a single target.
Yeah. Sitting at the most farm in the game as well at 280 at 26 minutes even, which is really impressive. 5-0-1, has had immense presence in this game. I just wish they had kind of accelerated a little bit earlier.
But it is 26 minutes in a 6,000 gold lead. They are in a good position. There is a teleport onto Helper here if they so desire, but they need to start looking at turrets here. The wave clear from MVP, most likely not going to be too crazy dealing with these Baron minions, but there's nobody in a position to hook them. They're just going on that boar chase again. The Sejuani just being so appealing for them. By the way, boar, I understand what they're chasing. One of the most delicious meats I have ever eaten.
Really?
Oh yeah, that and capybaras actually.
I've never tasted boar myself. We've discussed this out here in Korea. I'm not the most adventurous eater, but Crumbs definitely is.
Capybaras, man. It's called chihuire. It's actually absolutely delicious. I'll show it to you, but Sejuani is still looking for some engages, but look at how far back Comeback is playing. He understands that he's on Lantern duty here, and being so far back makes the engage from MVP just very dubious as to where do they go in, who do they engage on? Are they going to get Lanterned out? Do they even have the damage to go for it? And the answer seems to be no for pretty much anything, as they give up another top lane turret, and there's going to be 2 cannon minions onto this wave, so...
This is massive. You were talking about the lack of wave clear too. The Kassadin not really able to offer much. The arrow is going to sail wide. It might not even matter. Hook also misses. Teleport coming in, but the turret is going to die as the teleport is canceled. Look at the position right now of ADD. Nowhere in sight, and there is no defense of that top inhibitor. Will go down as Ever8 begins to push their advantage.
Just a complete freebie and a great use of the teleport from Helper, stalling out that creep, saying we are committing for this. You need to either fight us now or you give this turret up, and they give it up, but as a result, not only do they get a teleport advantage because of the Stand United, they also get ADD's teleport, which means that he now doesn't have the option of flanking for an engage, so MVP has to completely reassess how they want to take these fights out, and it's going to be Sejuani having to do some sort of fancy footwork around Ever to try to get a good ultimate.
Seemingly, in a weird way, MVP has had total control over these dragons up until now. It looks like perhaps Ever8 wants to put on the pressure now. Here comes Olaf coming on in. You can see how tanky Sejuani is, but that was kind of their war dance, saying, okay, this is our dragon, get the hell out of here. You don't want to fight us. But actually, as I say that, the blast forward from Max, he is going to hook the Olaf, but immediately he gets belted. ADD, doesn't matter how tanky he is. Ever8 just way too far ahead, almost 10,000 gold. Going to pick up 2 kills, the Infernal Drake. Let's see where they go from here.
There's just no chance for a fight to be won head-on for MVP at this stage in the game. The 5-man group from Ever is just too strong. Ideally, you want to be flanking from multiple sides on Ever, looking for picks, but the level 1, the way that Ever played, they're looking to just close out this game very early on. 2 inhibitors down in under 30 minutes. They're just going to do a casual recall here, and all they need to do is just base, go for that bot lane turret, and this should just be the final couple of minutes for MVP in this game.
So I remember saying in the pick ban phase, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really smart from MVP. They give the Syndra to Ever8, but they've got a counter, right? Well, it seemed like Kassadin was the counter. I understand that 2 kills were given over to Ever8 before even the minions spawned, but at the same time, sitting at 6-0-1 and totally dominating the game, I wouldn't be surprised to see Syndra banned next time.
Absolutely. I mean, it was banned in the previous series against Septed after he showed 1 game, and I actually thought it would just be a perma-ban from then on out just because of how effective he was at it. But we'll take another look right here. This is probably one of the worst blitz flashes I've seen in a while. He's going to flash hook Olaf into the team. I know he's looking for Ashe, but he does a great job of body blocking, and when you have Olaf there, just not a good time. But I want to bring light to another issue that we can accept that this game is over, but take a look at the build from Maha here. He went Essence Reaver into Hurricane into QSS. And while the QSS makes sense when you're dealing with Syndra and Ashe, when you're this far behind, you never go with defensive. You always need to be building damage, because when you're behind, that means that your DPS isn't there, so you really need to increase your chances to be able to punish a mistake from the enemy. But if you have defensive tools on your side, your ability to punish goes down tremendously. And so when that build goes through, it's just a complete signal that the chances of MVP winning a fight go from slim to absolutely none.
It was kind of funny to watch.
Oh, the TP here, though.
Okay, they're going to come on in. Hassiden coming from behind, looking to engage on in here. They actually do get a member. Can't actually see who that is in the fight, but they will take out Syndra before this fight even goes down. Duel in the backline, though, is able to do enough damage. Was protected for quite a while. They do trade 1-for-1, but still the push continues. Lots of members of MVP still very low, and they have to save their Nexus turrets.
It's a 1-for-1, but it doesn't matter because of the double inhib pouring into the base. It's 10-3, third inhibitor going down, and they still have Duel very alive, still with Flash, just happily shooting out arrows, but they will not be able to commit for another push. The 30-second spawn timer from Ian is too short for them to try to do anything, as well as 4 very alive members from MVP. And now 20 seconds onto the Baron is a site that Ever has. All they need to do is secure Baron. 3 inhibitors will still be up, and once that Baron goes through, it'll surely be the end of the game.
We got the zoom in here as Olaf. Malrang has been doing quite well, even after so many jungle bans against him. We're going to take a look at this replay.
It's surprising how that ultimate was threaded through the tanks and was able to hit Septed. To be fair, that's actually the first time I think I've seen Sejuani ultimate actually hit the intended target, so
yeah.
Good for him to really hit that skill shot. But in the end, a fight that not only shouldn't have happened, as you saw how Malrang and Helper are aware that they just need to be blocking ultimates, but they do get the objective in the end, and that's really all that matters. It's a little bit unwise to try to force this objective without pressure just yet. There is a chance of a steal. All they have to do is just wait for the minion waves, but they're not going to wait at all. They're going to give MVP a little bit of leeway. They recognize the situation and just keep stalling out. First inhib spawns, however, they just need to get some vision before they do this.
Well, they're going to have comeback push on forward, and they do have a little bit of vision, but you can see Beyond up there in the top right. He's hanging around. It's really going to be his sacrifice, but even then,
there should be no risk in this play. A Baron here would be awful for Ever if they give that away, so they need to be very careful with this. And, yep, great secure.
There you go, and the arrow's going to hit Ian even, but with the Merc Treads, he's able to get out of there. Helper in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, Maha on the right side has got an Olaf on his back. Sejuani just disappears. Didn't even see that one. Meanwhile, the Nexus going down. Beyond finally will be able to pick up another kill, but it's not going to matter.
Nice. Oh, wow. Comeback's on fire in this fight. Hooks onto the Raptor, hits Maha once again, hooks into Beyond, and this is going to be the end of the game. The Baron coming in, and Ever8, pretty solid game 1.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. Able to finally get that early lead into the late game, and it looks like Max will survive at the end. But there it is, GG Ever8 takes game number 1.
Comeback there, super excited. It's kind of weird to have to refer to him as comeback when he's been known as Hachani for 5 years, but
he's making his comeback, you know?
Exactly, he is making a comeback, so there was a lot of direction there for Ever. Even though there was a little bit of a lull in the mid-game without that vision, it did look very hopeful for them. It was very promising change of pace for Ever, being able to really put the pedal to the metal. However, I am interested to see how will this team play out in a position where not only is the level 1 not tremendously in their favor, but when MVP drafts a composition that's a little bit more relevant right now. Graves is not the strongest pick as of this moment. He did receive a little bit of tweaks to his early game. Doesn't offer too much pressure, and the combination of just Graves and Cassidy is probably one of the worst combos to go for when you're trying to survive into a lane as difficult as it is as Syndra.
Look at Seb. He's like, yeah, everybody get on my bus. I'll carry you on. They're going to get a pat on the back from the coach, a little grin. And he seemingly had the most comfortable game of his life. That was a pretty insane Syndra play. He did die once at the end, a pretty insane Sejuani ult, but either way, this is what really got the ball rolling.
The story of the game. You face check into one of the strongest level 1s in the game. Shen, Thresh, and Olaf out of all picks. Just Undertow melts through the entire lineup. The endless slows, and 2 kills in level 1 is probably the worst outcome you could ever hope for, that you can never really prepare for. So really good stuff from Ever, being able to take that advantage and close out. It would be very worrisome if they would not be able to win that game from that level 1.
It's kind of a funny chase. ADD thought maybe he could suicide on the turret, but comeback was there. A very early roam from him. Definitely making his presence known throughout the beginning.
This one was sick. Flash, unleashed power, stand united, doesn't even land the hook, just everybody trying to get beyond. He doesn't even get the chance to participate in that fight. And oh, jeez.
Pretty sick hooks from comeback all game long.
Just so much damage. Let's stun.
Yeah, that's a stun, guys. Into the unlimited power. I'm curious to see how comeback gets out of this one.
So I think he just walks into the brush.
They just let him go.
He's like, you're free to go.
We want helper. We want the Baron.
We'll allow it.
Oh, with the Baron recall.
Check it. They don't even allow. They don't even check. They're like, yeah, all right, okay.
You can see Max had the scanner, but just barely missed. But either way, the result coming in looks very one-sided for Ever8. Obviously, the early double kill going over to both Malrong and Septid. You can see the crazy damage from Syndra throughout this game.
As it was one-sided, I think the level 1 was really the story, but the draft for MVP, I think that's the thing that they can really take away from this one. Is this a draft that they want to go for? Do they really want to allow Syndra to go through once again? Are they really looking to go with a no wave clear composition from the mid lane and just go for a 1-3-1 like that? That isn't really the most effective composition on 1-3-1. Typically you see it with maybe a Fiora as well, just a lot of pressure as opposed to a team fighter like Sejuani. But overall, Game 2 most likely will be quite different from Game 1.
Yeah, you can see a lot of discussion going on here in the booth as they